last question.
Okay, I hope I'll make this good. Thanks also for continuing the lecture series. I haven't listened to all of the lectures, but it seems like you focus very much on the appeal of the biblical stories to the individual psychology. Do you have any thoughts on the relative importance of crowd psychology to the appeal and staying power of the Bible, and also the reason why the Bible or the biblical stories took precedence over other ideologies which could have taken its place?
Okay, well, let's go to the second one first. I think it's the same thing that happens when someone both creates and edits a great movie. No one knows, like, imagine how many choices are there in a great movie. Let's say it's an animated movie, because absolutely everything in an animated movie is constructed. Everything. God only knows how many choices. Like, maybe there's millions of choices, and each choice is guided by some intuition of narrative suitability or beauty, or there's some higher ideal motivating it. Right? The desire to produce a masterpiece, maybe that's it. That was certainly the case with the Disney movies, for example. And so that aspiration then makes the decisions. And so I would say, well, something like that guided the writing and the selection of the stories in the biblical canon. Now, could have there been other stories included? Well, the Catholics and the Protestants don't have the same biblical tradition, and neither do the Jews and the Christians. And so it isn't exactly clear what to make of that, I mean, that's akin in some sense to the discussion we just had about Islam and Christianity. In some sense, I've left that aside, that specific question, except insofar as I've just answered, because I'm trying to take what we have, which I know is at the root of our culture, and to figure out what it is that we have. Why it is that we have it, well, I've made some attempt to explain that in the manner that I just described, but I don't have a final answer. Like, could it have been different? It could have been different at some levels, but the same at others. I mean, one of the things that scholars of comparative religion who haven't been infected fatally with postmodernism have definitely realized, so Jung, for example, and Eliade, and people who are interested in grand narratives, one of the things they pointed out quite clearly is that there's a set of common mythological themes across many cultures, and I tried to outline that in Maps of Meaning, and that worked out quite nicely for me, at least as far as I was concerned, because once I had the basic archetypal structure mapped out, it opened up all sorts of stories to me from all sorts of different cultures, and that's been unbelievably useful. Like the Mesopotamian story of the Enuma Elish, when I figured out what that meant, as far as I was concerned, like, I've never forgotten that. It just seared itself into my memory, and the same with the Egyptian stories and some Buddhist writings that I've read, and the Tao Te Ching is also very powerful. So I think that things can be different on one level and the same at another, but that humanity kind of coalesces on what's the same over a reasonable period of time, because there isn't that many ways that human beings can live properly as individuals and as groups together. And so there's this constant force that makes our ethical presuppositions converge. And then that's automatically expressed in the stories. It's something like that. Now, it's an imperfect process, and it's full of error. So, yeah. So, just one announcement. Well, two announcements. The next lecture, I believe, is November 14th, so I'll hopefully finish off the story of Jacob. It looks like it. And then I'm also appearing on a panel with Gad Saad and Oren Amate on November 11th, and there's still quite a few tickets available for that, so if you're interested, you could go to my website and pick up those tickets. It should be, well, hopefully it'll be interesting. I think it will be, and it might be too interesting. That's one possibility. So we'll see, but I'm going to do 2 more of these this year, and I hope I get through the story of Joseph, and then I can start in the new year with Exodus, and that's a story that I know quite well, and the Exodus and Leviticus, and what's the one after that? Yes, thank you. So I'm very much looking forward to that, because that is one killer story, man. So And I've got some surprises for that as well. So anyways, thank you very much for coming, and hopefully we'll see you November 14th.